For years now, I've tried to warn as many as I can. I tried warning my classmates, the police, I've even tried writing my state senator. None of it's worked. So I've just come to accept that a majority of the people I come across won't take what I have to say next seriously. That's fine by me. I warn who I can and the rest can do what they want. So here it goes. You're going to laugh at me, but there are people out there with abilities. Supernatural abilities. I know because I was, or am one. But the people I'm talking about, they're no X-Men. They're sick, twisted psychopaths that will kill you just for laughs. I'll tell you my story. It'll explain a lot. Growing up, I never knew my parents. I jumped from foster home to foster home, never staying at the same one for too long. I'd start fights just to get attention. At some point, however, the adults at the home started complaining that I'd been running away. This confused me, considering that I was admittedly a troublemaker, but running away had never been on my long list of offenses. I soon discovered that I had the ability to render myself invisible. Not the kind of visibility you see in comics or movies. It's almost like I'm able to make it so that people don't notice me. I will stand in front of people calling my name, screaming that I was there, and pulling their clothes, and they just go on as if I wasn't. I started practicing with these powers, and it didn't take long for me to become pretty good with them. It was like I could surround myself in a cloak that made the entire world unable to register my very existence. I could walk into a cafeteria, lift some kid's lunch tray, punch the principal in the face, and take the gym teacher's wallet from his pocket, and not a single person would be able to say that I was there or had done it. So it's my 17th birthday. The day this nightmare started. I'd gotten back to the foster home I was living at the time, and planned on spending the rest of my night laying in bed watching Netflix on my laptop. I made it back to my room and was checking through some stuff on my phone when I noticed it. An app icon that sure as hell hadn't been there earlier. My first thought was that I clicked on the wrong ad by accident and it downloaded whatever app it was promoting. I held the screen for the uninstall option to pop up, but instead the app opened. In bright red and blue letters, the words Toybox popped up. The app looked simple enough, with bulgy cartoon lettering over only two options. A box with the words inbox over it, and a circle with the word jobs over it. I was going to close the app and uninstall it, but honestly, curiosity got the best of me. A large blue number 1 sounding inbox icon. I clicked on the message and a small paragraph in white appeared, headed as being from Toybox Inc. Welcome to the Toybox. We supply gifted individuals like yourself with fun opportunities. While the fun lasts, why not make some money? I began asking myself all sorts of questions, one of which being what the hell that message even meant. Did this app somehow know I had powers? I'd used my abilities on several reckless occasions before, and for a while I ran a couple scams, but even then, I was always careful. The red flag should have looked more like glowing neon flags. I should have gone with my initial gut instinct of uninstalling the app and moving on, but I just couldn't. I exited the inbox menu and noticed the new text that appeared at the bottom of the app's homepage. Total members, 6. Not only that, but a large blue number 1 now hovered over the jobs box. I tapped it and was taken to a checklist style page with only one task listed. Played 3 pranks. Confused, I wonder if there was some kind of minigame or something I'd missed. As if the app understood my confusion, a small chat bubble appeared in the corner of the screen. Friends or family count. Indulge in some harmless fun. Were they watching me through my phone's camera? Were they listening to me? I didn't think too deep into it at the time, but looking back, maybe someone was. Either way, I figured I may as well play along for now, considering that the playing pranks was pretty easy, especially with my abilities. I activated my powers and walked into the room of 2 guys that bunked together down the hall from me. One sat playing video games while the other sat in his bed reading a book. Simply enough, I took a pillow from the bed and threw it at the guy playing video games, who quickly turned around assuming his bunkmate was being a jerk. With one down, I went downstairs as a group of teenagers were watching TV. For about 5 minutes, I'd unplug the TV over and over as one of them would get up to plug it back in, blaming the faulty socket. Lastly, I just tripped a guy as he came out the bathroom. To be fair, it was the only thing I could think of. I walked back to my room, and as soon as I opened Toybox, confetti covered the screen as what sounded like a retro video game theme played in the background. As the theme ended, a large plus $50 flashed into the screen. I thought the app must have some kind of currency system to it, but when I checked over the small selection of menus within the app, I couldn't find the supposed 50 coins I had obtained. A thought popped into my head, but I quickly pushed it out as there was literally no way some random app would pay me $50 just to pull some pranks. I hadn't even entered my banking information yet. I sat there, ready to uninstall the app again, but something inside me kept pushing for me to check my account. Finally I bit, and when I opened my banking app, I almost fell over. A deposit had been made only minutes ago for $50 from Toybox Inc. Doing some stupid pranks had earned me $50? I didn't care about the common sense things, such as how this company got my banking information, or what they got out of giving money to kids for menial tasks. It was at that moment I found myself suddenly hooked. Immediately I checked the jobs menu and found another task already waiting for me. Break 8 glass objects. I stayed up until almost 2 AM that night, completing job after job. I ended up making almost $500 too. Honestly, it went on like this for months. Whenever I could, I complete jobs, earning varying amounts of money. I was so caught up in making what I saw as easy cash, I didn't even realize these jobs had begun elevating from small unpleasantries to actual crimes. One week, I have to poke 100 people in 24 hours. In the next, I have to break 3 products in an electronics store. Or steal from 20 purses, or slash the tires of 4 red cars. That app had a hold on me. Yeah, I made money from doing these things, but the real incentive was a sense of superiority and achievement I felt in doing these things and getting away with them. Then I got my first job that broke through my moral high. Break 4 limbs. I just remember staring at my phone, reading the job over and over. I couldn't believe what I was being asked to do. I also couldn't believe I was out of my mind enough to still be considering doing it. Then I noticed a new bit of text under the job. 2P. 2P? What did that mean? Did it mean 2 players? Once again, as if on cue, I received a message notification from my inbox. Only it wasn't from Toybox Inc. The message didn't even have a tag sender. Meet at Pizza Hut on 3rd and 30. Look for a red hoodie. Confused but eager for an explanation, I set off and ended up meeting a girl around my age there. Brianna, as I later find out her name was. We exchanged a few words and moved to grab a table. I found out she'd been a member of what she insisted was called the Toybox Gang for nearly 2 years. She also confirmed that besides the 2 of us, there were 4 other members who she assured me I would meet eventually. I'd been using the conversation to try and ease my unrest when Brianna suddenly stood up fast and began to quickly walk towards the restaurant's exit. I followed behind her and got outside to see her briskly walking towards a young couple that had been heading towards their car. I expected her to pull a pipe from her hoodie or attack them. Instead, she reached out with her arm. The guy in front of her yelled in surprise as he was lifted into the air, and both of his arms and legs snapped in unnatural directions. For as long as I live, I don't think I'll forget the sound of all his limbs cracking. A violent snap, followed by the primal screams of the man as he crumpled to the floor. The girl he was walking with began to scream in horror, but I watched as Brianna pointed her arm at her, lifting her into the air as well. I squeezed my eyes shut as I heard the series of deep cracks. The girl stopped screaming and began emitting a sound as if she were choking on her tongue. Opened my eyes to see Brianna walking towards me. I flinched, expecting her to lift me into the air and crumple me into a ball. Instead, she patted me on the shoulder and said, "See you later," and just kept walking. I didn't open the app until I got home. Once I did, I saw a large, plus $50,000, along with the usual confetti appear on the screen. Again, I felt that sense of relief and accomplishment as the electronic jingle ended. But I couldn't help but hear the sound of the couple's bones breaking. I couldn't help but linger on a realization that there were others out there with abilities. My own let me hide better than anyone else. But if there were people out there that could snap limbs with a literal thought, could I even hide from that? Brianna had said there were 4 other members that I would meet eventually. And well, she was right. Over the next couple months, I'd be assigned jobs with each of them on multiple occasions. Sometimes it'd just be 2 of us, and sometimes it'd be 3. Eventually, we all became friends, I suppose, never trading direct telephone numbers but staying in contact on the Toybox app until we were assigned on a mission together. When we were together, we treated each other like longtime friends. But to those that found themselves targets of our jobs, there was nothing but merciless violence. I'll take a break for a minute to tell you about the other members of the Toybox gang, in case you ever come across them. Maybe knowing what each one is capable of will at least give you a chance at survival. First is Brianna, who, to put it plainly, is a telekinetic. She's able to move things with her mind, although the last time I saw her, the weight of the object she was able to move was pretty low. That doesn't mean much, as you know she is easily capable of folding a human into a ball and tossing them aside. It became sort of her signature, destroying people's limbs. I've also seen her launch someone at a wall hard enough that they've damn near exploded. I threw up for hours afterwards. She laughed about it for days. Brett manipulates people's sense of direction and time. He has to touch you first, but after he does, no matter where you are for the next 30 minutes, he can make you feel like up is down or left is right. Your body just feels like it doesn't respond correctly to anything your brain asks it to do. His abilities aren't overly deadly, but he loves challenging those under his influence to knife fights. Don't think he's ever lost. Philip has powers that feel like they come right out of a fantasy game. He can conjure arms from shadows. As long as there is darkness, he can form arms from it. While the appendages are seemingly made from a dark mist, they are in fact able to grab objects. He's told me before that he always feels like he isn't using the entirety of his abilities. I don't know what kind of things he'd be capable of if he used what he would call his full potential. I'll be honest, Raina's powers scare me. She can look at someone and cause them to hallucinate a demon. Not some red horned imp with a pointed tail, but some kind of creature that looks like it feels it was born from your nightmares. I was curious what her abilities really did one day, so I asked her to use them on me. I can't fully describe the entity I saw, but the fear I felt from looking at it is something I'll never forget. The creature didn't move to attack me or move at all. It just stood there, and that was enough to make my heart pound fast enough that I felt like I would explode. If she does keep it up long enough, your heart will explode. I've seen that happen too. Lastly is Trent, who's a pyrokinetic. Out of everyone, I argue Trent has the worst control over his abilities, but the most destructive power. His powers seem to be tied to his emotions. Instead of carefully igniting objects, Trent will lose control of his emotions and create accidental maelstroms of fire around himself. I've seen him create flames hot enough to turn cars into piles of slag. It's unsettling to think about what he'll be able to do once he learns to control his abilities. And that's the Toybox gang. I ran with them for almost 2 years, looting, breaking, scaring, killing. We did it all. A bunch of superpowered teenagers following the commands of an app. Some of the things we did, some of the things I heard, I'll never forget. No matter how many bodies we piled up, no matter how many people we crippled, we just kept on going. I won't lie and pretend like I was a victim because I have blood on my hands. But the others? You have to believe me, the others are worse. Men, women, children, they'll hurt anyone. And it'll be nothing less than fun for them. Eventually, I'd had too much. I decided to stop using the Toybox app. I couldn't handle all the constant stream of violence. I was finally able to uninstall the app and manage to focus on my actual life enough that I applied for college a couple hours away. A couple months later, I even found I'd gotten in. It felt bizarre, living life not guided by Toybox. But soon, I started getting messages from unknown numbers. I couldn't tell who they were from at first, but eventually, I'd recognize speech patterns of the Toybox gang members. Some messages came from Trent, some from Philip, some from Brianna. They started out friendly enough, asking where I'd been and saying they missed me. Soon enough, they turned threatening, asking if I'd gone soft and joking that they had to come chat in person. It's been months since the messages started and they still come through occasionally, despite me changing my number several times. They made it very clear that they have no intention of letting me walk away. My path is my own, and it's one I have to walk. But I want to get my story out to those who will listen in case you find yourself being a target of their game. Something that worries me is that I can feel my powers growing. Feels like every day I become slightly more capable. But if my powers are growing, then the others must feel their powers growing as well. More and more I hear about dismembered bodies being found around my hometown. Sometimes it's random burned bodies of couples in their car. Sometimes joggers found dead from massive heart attacks. Another worry is that I've been hearing about bizarre deaths more and more across the US. A girl found with shards of gold piercing her body, and 2 boys were discovered hanging from massive vines in the middle of the city. My theories were proven correct when I got a text message from a screenshot of the Toybox app. No words. Just a screenshot of the Toybox gang member count. And it sat at 76.